Hello, students. A very good morning to all of you. Today's topic is geological disaster. As we know that geological disasters are also known as geophysical disasters. In our today's lecture, we are going to discuss the causes and effects of different types of geological disasters, and we are going to cover earthquake, landslide, tsunami, and mining. I think you have a question that how mining can be a natural geological disaster. Mining is not a natural disaster. Mining can be anthropogenic, but there are some hazards that can be caused by natural mining process, and these we are going to discuss the causes and effects of that mining processes. From unit 1, we are now able to explain what is disaster management, different terminologies like hazards, preparedness, mitigation, response, relief. So these are different terminologies that can be used in our further lectures, and also we are now able to explain disaster management cycle and the profile of disaster of India. Disaster profile that can be a regional profile and can be a seasonal profile. So, in this way, how we ended Unit 1. In Unit 1, we have discussed the introduction part. Now we entered in Unit 2, where we will discuss the details of all the different types of disasters. We have discussed different types of disasters in Unit 1, and now we are going to discuss the details, that is the causes and the effects of all geological disaster in today's lecture, and we will discuss causes and effects of earthquake, and then landslide, then we will move to tsunamis, and finally causes and effects of mining. So let's start with earthquake. We have had experience at some point in our lives earthquake that could be a light, moderate, or major. And here the definition can be like this: an earthquake is the movement of the ground produced by the sudden displacement of the rock in the earth crust. We know that the earth consists of the inner core, the outer core, the mantle, and the crust. Inner core is the solid and consists of heavy metals like nickel and iron, and the mantle is in the form of viscous material due to the heavy high temperature and pressure. And the tectonic plates that are made of elastic but brittle rocky material. Due to tectonic plate actions, there is the possibility of deformation taking place in Earth. These deformations could lead to creation and storage of strain energy in the tectonic plates. When the rocky material along the interface or the junction of the different plates reaches its strength, it could fracture and lead to a sudden movement. The interface between the different plates where the movement has taken place would slip, releasing the elastic strain energy stored within the rocks. This sudden slip causes earthquake. If we explain the causes of earthquake, earthquakes are caused by sudden tectonic movements in the earth crust. Here you have to know different terminologies. These terminologies we have had heard this. We are also familiar with these terms, but if we want to define all these terms here, we all know the term epicenter. Epicenter is the epicenter of an earthquake is the point directly above This is directly above the point of the focus and on the earth surface. Earthquakes are normally named after epicenter location. Now what is this hypocenter? Hypocenter is also known as focus. What is this focus mean? It means the point within the earth. The earthquake starts is known as focus. So where the earthquake starts is known as focus, and the epicenter is from the focus, it is on the surface of the earth. Now what is fault? The fault is this is the fraction, this is the fracture between two blocks of rock. So these faults are the fracture part. And now there are two types of waves are created when stress is released. When this fracture occurs, some stress released, and due to the release of this stress, two types of waves can occur. One is surface wave, another is body wave. Surface waves move close to the ground. The surface waves can move this close to this ground. This is the ground, that is the surface. Here the surface wave can move in this way. And the body waves, these waves travel through the interior part. The inner at the inner core it can move through the inner part. There are two waves. The body waves can be classified into two: P waves and S waves. P waves, also known as primary wave, is usually the first to be detected by seismograph. And the S waves are the secondary waves, are the larger than P waves and are more dangerous. They produce vertical and horizontal motion in the ground surface and directly follow P waves. While moving surface waves, the secondary waves, not surface waves, secondary waves of the body wave have the tendency to shear or cut the rocks as they travel. So, the secondary waves do not travel through liquid, they travel at a velocity ranging from 3 km to 4 km per second. No need to remember all these terms, all these different, but you have to remember some some most important terms like this fault, hypocenter or focus, and epicenter, and also primary and secondary waves, not in detail, but you have to know the velocity also. Here I am going to show you an animated video. Watch this video carefully. I think you can understand all these what I have talked last few minutes. You can understand from this video very easily.
Seismic activity is also one of the most important sources of information about the interior of the Earth. In this video, we're going to read about the earthquakes. So what is an earthquake? It simply means shaking of the Earth. It is caused due to release of energy, which generates waves that travel in all directions. Now the question is, why does the Earth shake? To understand that, you'll have to look at this picture. This is a fault. A fault is a sharp break in the crustal rocks. Rocks near a fault tend to move in opposite directions. That creates friction, but at some point of time, their movements overcome the friction. As a result, they slide past one another. This causes a release of energy, and the energy waves travel in all directions. The point where the energy is released is called the focus of an earthquake, or there is also a term given to it called the hypocenter. The energy waves traveling in different directions reach the surface. The point on the surface nearest to the focus is called epicenter. This place is the first one to experience the waves. All natural earthquakes take place in the lithosphere. The lithosphere refers to the portion of depth up to 200 km from the surface of the Earth. An instrument called seismograph records the wave reaching the surface. The waves look something like this. The curve shows three distinct sections, each representing different types of wave patterns. We'll get back to this pattern in a moment. Earthquake waves are basically of two types, body waves and surface waves. I need you to understand the term body waves. Sounds a little larger within the body, right? So the body waves are generated due to the release of energy at the focus, that is the epicenter, and moves in all direction, traveling through the body of the Earth. You know, it travels internally within the Earth's surface and moves the interior of the Earth. That's why it is referred to as body waves, because it is traveling through the body of the Earth like a tremor. Now it is obvious that when these body waves move towards the surface, they will come in contact with the surface rocks and generate new set of waves. These are called surface waves. Now the velocity of waves changes as they travel through materials with different densities. And we know that the materials with higher density recede downwards. Therefore, the denser the material, the higher is the velocity. Their direction also changes as they reflect or refract when coming across materials with different densities. That's why when the seismic waves reach towards the surface of Earth, there the materials are of lower density, and that slows down the intensity of the waves, leaving behind a fault. Now going back to the picture that I showed you, so if you look at this picture, there are two types of body waves. They are called P and S waves. So the letter P and S stands for primary and secondary. Now you can relate when I say primary, they are the first one that gets recorded on a seismograph, the instrument, and then comes the secondary wave. You can look at this illustration to understand how these wave looks. The P wave, that is the primary or pressure wave, is a pulse of energy that travels quickly through the Earth's solid materials as well as liquids. It forces the ground to move backward and forward as it gets compressed and expanded. The S wave, that is the secondary or shear wave, follows more slowly with a swaying, rolling motion that shakes the ground back and forth perpendicular to the direction of the wave. If at all the concept of P and S wave isn't clear to you, I recommend that you watch this video by Dr. Keith Miller, where he physically demonstrates P and S seismic waves. The video by him is extremely helpful. I'll link the video in the description and you can go and
So I think it is clear to you all how an earthquake occurs. Now, what are the effects of earthquake? We all know that the effects on earthquake is very terrible. Many buildings, hospitals, schools are destroyed due to it, and life loss is the main part, and many people lost their money, property, and these are some effects on our human life and also on biodiversity. The main environmental effects can be a landslide that we are going to explain in today's lecture, and some other tsunamis can occur, landslide, and also there are some loss of biodiversity. This is the main consequence of earthquake. So these are some effects of earthquake. Now what is landslide? Landslide, as the term indicates, that landslide refers to the rapid downward movement of large masses of rocks and soil. Landslides are caused by combination of factors which could include the different vibration, the alteration of water content, groundwater movement, and also removal or change in the type of vegetation that covered the slopes. And from here we can say a landslide happens when rocks, debris, and soil move down a slope. What are the causes of landslide? Landslide can be caused by both natural and also by anthropogenic causes. Anthropogenic means human induced, human man made, and natural causes can be water, that is saturation of slopes with water is the primary reason for landslide. Saturation can occur due to precipitation. Precipitation means the rainfall or snowfall. Flooding can cause landslide and also vice versa. Means flooding can cause landslide or landslide can cause flood. And by other causes means that we have already discussed that the earthquake can be a cause for landslide. And also volcanic activity, one of the most devastating forms of landslide is the ones caused due to the volcanic activity. And the seismic activities, earthquake that in steep landslide prone areas trigger landslide as a result of ground shaking, loosening of soil and liquefaction of susceptible sediments. Due to seismic activity, there is possibility of landslide dams occurring in the river with steep slopes. These dams created by landslide dams and block the flow of water completely or partially. And the what are the anthropogenic causes? Anthropogenic means man-made causes. This includes the developmental activities, changing drainage and irrigation patterns, and also cleaning vegetation, then also the population expanding into new areas and creating built structure on land having unstable and weak underground land, and also slope contribute to the occurrence of severe landslide. It could also be occurred due to steepening of slopes by undercutting the bottom. And the main reason of landslide is soil erosion. Soil erosion can be caused by deforestation. As we know that the roots of the trees bind the soils in a proper way, but if we cut down these trees, then there may be some reason for soil erosion, and soil erosion can cause landslide. So these are all interconnected. Deforestation is the main reason for landslide by human activities. What are the effects of landslides? Here you can see the loss of lives. This is obvious with close to 11,000 deaths due to the landslide in 12 years. India tops a global list of nearly 56,000 deaths from 4,800 landslide around the world between 2004 and 2016. So this is obvious that life loss is the main damaging part of landslide. Then destruction of property. Destruction of property means loss of property and also buildings. Economic loss. Landslide bring huge cost to communities and cities affected by cleanup and rebuilding destroyed infrastructure. And landslide can this is the destruction natural environment. Debris flows usually uproot trees and wipe out vegetation and wildlife in its path. So this can cause biodiversity loss. I think you all know the term biodiversity. You are familiar with the term biodiversity. I am explaining it. Biodiversity, if we split the term, we can have two words, bio plus diversity. Bio means life and diversity means variety. So biodiversity is the variety of lives. Due to landslide, due to earthquake, due to all these the disasters, biodiversity loss is the main concern. So now you can realize that biodiversity loss is the main concern for the disasters. From earthquake and from landslide, we can see biodiversity loss is the main dangerous part. With the loss of lives of human being and also the loss of property of human being, we have to also think about with the biodiversity loss. Now we will discuss tsunami. I think you are now familiar with this term as we have discussed in the types of disaster class. Tsunami, we can split the term In Japanese word, su means hover and nami means wave. So combiningly, it is the harbor of wave. Tsunami is a series of seismic sea waves caused by the abrupt deformation of the sea floor and leading to a vertical displacement of a large volume of underlying water. This could be occur due to submarine earthquakes or volcanic eruption and also by landslides. Tsunamis can move at high speeds, gather energy and cross thousands of kilometers before they run off on shore. At the initial source, the speed of the wave could be up to 600 miles per hour. While traveling through deep water, the waves may reach only up to 2 feet in height. When they reach shallow water, they slow down, causing water to pile up and into very high waves as tall as 30 about 34 feet. And tsunamis are the water waves that are caused by sudden vertical movements of a water area of a sea floor. Um, for you, I have animated video. You can understand this from this video very easily. This is very interesting also and also very easily understandable.
A tsunami.
Now watch
Although
this video
tsunamis are
very
commonly known
carefully.
as tidal waves, they're actually unrelated to the tidal activity caused by the gravitational forces of the sun and moon. In many ways, tsunamis are just larger versions of regular waves. They have a trough and a crest, and consist not of moving water, but the movement of energy through water. The difference is in where this energy comes from. For normal ocean waves, it comes from wind. Because this only affects the surface, the waves are limited in size and speed. But tsunamis are caused by energy originating underwater, from a volcanic eruption, a submarine landslide, or most commonly, an earthquake on the ocean floor, caused when the tectonic plates of the Earth's surface slip, releasing a massive amount of energy into the water. This energy travels up to the surface, displacing water and raising it above the normal sea level. But gravity pulls it back down, which makes the energy ripple outwards horizontally. Thus, the tsunami is born, moving at over 500 miles per hour. When it's far from shore, a tsunami can be barely detectable, since it moves through the entire depth of the water. But when it reaches shallow water, something called wave shoaling occurs. Because there is less water to move through, this still massive amount of energy is compressed. The wave's speed slows down while its height rises to as much as 100 feet. The word tsunami, Japanese for harbor wave, comes from the fact that it only seems to appear near the coast. If the trough of a tsunami reaches shore first, the water will withdraw farther than normal before the wave hits, which can be misleadingly dangerous. A tsunami will not only drown people near the coast, but level buildings and trees for a mile inland or more, especially in low-lying areas. As if that weren't enough, the water then retreats, dragging with it the newly created debris and anything or anyone unfortunate enough to be caught in its path. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami was one of the deadliest natural disasters in history, killing over 200,000 people throughout South Asia. So how can we protect ourselves?
So from this video, you can now understand what is tsunami is and how tsunamis can occur. Now, these are some causes. We know that a tsunami is a series of large waves generated by the abrupt movement of the ocean floor, and we have already discussed it in our previous slides. Now, what are the effects of tsunami? So it is obvious that the distraction is the main part. The amount of energy and water contained in a huge tsunami can cause extreme distraction when it strikes the land. And death, the biggest worst effect of tsunami is the death of human beings and also other non-human being also. Other living beings. These can be the non-human being, and we have had also experienced tsunami in 2004 December. All of we have experienced this, so we know how dangerous can be a tsunami is. And the Japanese geographical condition is such that the Japanese they can experience, they are experiencing tsunami in this in uh, very short gaps, and it can cause different disease. And also the environmental impact is the main part. Environmental impact can include the destroy of human life, obvious, but have a devastating effect on insects, animals, plants, and natural resources. That is the same thing, that is the loss of biodiversity. A tsunami changes the landscape, it uproots trees and plants and destroys the animal habitat. Habitat means the place they are living, such as the nesting sites of our birds. The land animals are killed by the drowning, and sea animals are killed by the pollution. If dangerous chemicals are washed away into the sea, thus poisoning can the marine life. So tsunami has this can cause the impact on the human lives, loss of property, can cause deaths, and also have very high impact on the negative impact on environment. Now the mining, as we know that the mining is the extraction process, extraction of minerals from the earth core. The Though this is the actual involved mining is small, it contributes to a large scale destruction of forest. So mainly this is anthropogenic, but it is also related to geological or geophysical also. In India, large areas of forest in the different hilly areas, these are threatened, and the state of Jharkhand has lost substantial area of forest due to unchecked mining of coal, iron, and bauxite. Here you can see the causes and effects of mining from this table. What are the causes of mining? Due to the population growth, the requirement is also high, and we all want our income growth, economic growth, and also increasing demand for resources. As the population growth increases, our lifestyle has changed, and we all now we have personal vehicles, we all now having all our things personal, and advancement of technology. These are causes and importance of industrial processes. Lack of this is the sustainability. We are not concerned about the sustainable development, and economic factor for countries increase the resource prices. And what are the effects of mining? It can cause death, hearing issues, cancer, lung disease, soil erosion, water pollution, air pollution. Obviously air pollution is the main part of this mining process, and also can affect on animals, plants, and all over the environment. And we are not discussing solution part in this unit, as in this unit we are mainly discussing what are the causes and effects of various geological disasters and other disasters also, and the solution part and the control part will be discussed in the third unit. So it should be clear that in our first unit we have discussed the introduction part. Now we are discussing the causes and effects of all the disasters in details, and in the third unit we are going to discuss the prevention part. Prevention part means the solution part, how do you control these natural disasters. So from today's lecture you are now able to explain what are the causes and effects of earthquakes, land, tsunamis, and also mining. And in our next lecture we will discuss the hydrological disasters like flood, cyclones in details. So thank you.